all of this because it was my job, it was my passion, it was my passion, it was my passion, it was my passion, it was my passion.
It is. To film videos. I love filming. I love filming. I love filming. I love filming.
Right, that was great. Just one more, just a little sexier.
It was my passion.
Awesome. Yeah, let's move on. Cool. That was good.
Oh, we're calling this slop passion? Oh, yikes, it's never been in the room. Amberlynn, after 10 years of doing the bare minimum on YouTube, has for the first time as an adult actually need to find a real job with no financial safety net. Their savings are shot, they have no foster parent to just send them money again, they can't just go back to Virginia and ask Crystal's parents if they could, move in. And Amberlynn's number one feature, being a sugar mama, is kinda out the window if she ever hopes to find another beau online. But let's see how screwed they really are. Let's try to look at this as pragmatically as possible. So she has a high school diploma, or some equivalency like a GED or a state verification. I'm gonna guess failed upward. But you cannot tell me Amberlynn is someone that would do well with comprehensive reading. When they lived with Casey, they had to either get a job or go to school, and being job avoidant since 18, they joined this for-profit school in Arizona that literally got shut down. So they got to just be unemployed with Crystal and their family. In Destiny's case, they did have to put some type of effort in working part-time at the nursing home. That nursing home reminds me of like the Happy Gilmore one. Like, I feel like what bad karma you must have accrued through life to deal with Destiny and Amberlynn helping you. But besides that, she had one full-time job working for the VA and the government. I'm gonna guess it was data entry, and that was the end of 2016 to 2017. That lasted maybe 2 or 3 months throughout training, and then they just quit in January, which I'm sure absolutely didn't put accelerant on Destiny breaking up with them a couple weeks later. They just didn't want to do it. They just didn't want to work. That's it. That is the whole resume. She never built a skill. She never stuck with a job. She never improved her craft. She's been on YouTube for a decade and still doesn't know picture-in-picture editing. She refuses to buy decent internet packages or equipment, but she makes around $5,000 to $7,000 a month filming vertically on an iPhone like she's FaceTiming some new catfish. If she weren't such a lightning in a bottle internet famous disaster, she'd be every other Where Are They Now participant on My 600 Pound Life, living in a single wide with their felon family. Now imagine adding morbid obesity, a bunch of health problems due to that morbid obesity, like limited mobility, also the multiple mental health disorders, none of which are being taken care of, no routine, no structure, no habit of waking up and doing anything consistently. She can't work physical jobs. I wasn't imagining she would go out working construction or anything. But even an office job requires you getting there, moving around, meeting expectations, and not sleeping throughout the day. Cooperate with coworkers, and handle management who you might not like and they might not like you. You have to do all this even when you're sick, even when you're depressed or anxious, even when you have a lot going on personally, even if you have a lot going on in your home life, especially when you just don't want to work. And you know who likes that? No one! No one! No one! No one likes that! But we deal with it because we have to. Everything costs money. What I think is the most reasonable is the stenographer or transcription. We saw a little flash of that in their one live stream. It's not a bad choice. It's quiet, it's structured, it's private, she could keep her own privacy. It forces her to learn an actual skill instead of crying online obesely to strangers. It could give her a schedule and maybe even pull her out of her hermit lifestyle by meeting other people. She needs to interact with her peers in professional settings. Not just TikTok and online friends you trauma dump on. But I think they're going to be very disappointed by the paycheck each month. Now, what I think a lot of people assume they would do is adult content. Now, they could make oodles of money doing that. Amberlynn has a very, very, very niche body type, but I think she would not be able to deal with how much work it takes. You have to set up shoots, you gotta do all this work, and she already doesn't do that at her current media job. There's no way they're gonna do it for adult content. Because honestly, she probably wouldn't even need to work that hard. She would still definitely have fans for lazy content. She is a very niche body type for a very niche audience. they would be mostly a little upset that the people that desire them the most would be men, and Amberlynn has very declarative stated they would rather be with women. So I think they're going to be upset they're not going to see a lot of Emily 2.0s anytime soon. Not that she wouldn't dislike the attention, I just think it really kind of cuts into her reality of wanting to be with a woman rather than men. Also, people are super gross and they would just leak it online and send it to her family, and I can see not wanting to risk that. I think also she's just too lazy to keep up the discretion and just wouldn't do it. And honestly, I think she should do Twitch streaming. Stream Lego builds, trauma dump on your audience like you usually do, but like, it could be kind of fun. Play cozy games, something like that. But she would need to buy real equipment, actually kind of put her camera someplace that isn't just like the ceiling or her fridge. She would need to understand how to stream and practice that and get like her own kind of elements together. Build a consistent schedule for new viewers that would enjoy watching cozy games or Lego builds. Learn OBS. That's a lot of work, and she has no one to help her with that. Another reason I don't particularly feel super bad for her is she had thousands upon thousands of dollars over the years, a decade of very easy money being just a disaster. And what did she do with it? She bought takeout, she bought Legos, she hauled a bunch of clothes she doesn't use or wear, buying random junk, taking away ER time from anyone else in a hospital. She could have bought a cheap house in Oklahoma. She moved there in 2023. She's been there long enough. She could have bought a cheap house in Oklahoma, built up some equity, maybe rented a room, kept her apartment, created passive income. Prepare that for aging, the inevitable mobility decline, medical issues that are just pounding at the door, I'd imagine. Instead, she spent it like a pro athlete who blows their entire salary and ends up broke the second they're cut or injured. And rather than funding a business like an athlete, or sponsorship, or brands, expand your pool of influence, actually get some merchandise going, maybe set up a Twitch stream like once or so a week, maybe do a watch channel or a book club or some kind of personality interaction with members. You just decided to buy takeout and then not work for several months. I think her food budget is going to be severely cut. I think her entertainment budget is going to be cut because it's her fault. She has no savings, no investment, no emergency fund, nothing. And she can't even claim disability. Disability requires long-term documentation, proof of treatment, consistent medical evidence. The government barely helps disabled people. You think they'll just throw Social Security at anyone applying? She has no long-term history because she's a mess. She cannot claim unemployment either. She wasn't fired, she just refused to follow YouTube's updated rules and lost monetization because of her own choices. She still has a channel, it wasn't taken away. She just can't earn money for 90 days. She could have filmed all of November, all of December, all of January, and just have a whole bunch of videos edited and readied and scheduled to go out once the waiting period is over. Just get a nice fresh head start with new rules, following the TOS, and just starting over.
It was my passion.
But no, she won't do that. She won't bother editing. She won't alter her verbiage. She's just going to complain. It's just inability. It's refusal. But honestly, I think losing YouTube might actually be the best thing for her mental health. She can't handle criticism. She's not very smart. And, I think a lot of her audience that is trying to help her, she only perceives through the very simple mindset of critique or they hate me and I hate them. I don't think she has the maturity to really deal with this level of criticism and for her really adult problems. And I understand why. She's weaponized incompetence her entire life, and her childhood was very sad, but she's been out of foster care almost as long as she's been in it at this point. And we're here expecting that she's sad because this is her passion. I don't think it is. I do not think any of her channel was passionately made. I think she enjoys it as an interest, as a hobby, but this isn't her passion. And look, a real job can just be structure, purpose, social interactions, a nice schedule to follow into, and you get a paycheck. Not every job has to be your living passion. It can just be something you do that funds your passions. And maybe that's a good way for Amberlynn to just have something to do and then buy Legos here and there. She needs real life friends. She needs real life peers, not internet weirdos feeding the chaos and sending her inappropriate messages. Because if we look at her year in review, she hasn't done anything. She has just cried all the time, barely posts, No evolution or improvement, no weight loss, no new hobbies, no growth, and is now stuck with cameos. Very low effort cameos, which I think will definitely pay the bills for a little bit, but I don't see it keeping up anything comfortable. But with all those videos going away, this is kind of like her burning of Alexandria. The past is gone. It still exists somewhere online and, reaction channels and whatnot, but like a lot of it is gone if anyone just stumbled upon her channel. This is a way to like reinvent themselves. They could try again. And I think that would be really good for her to like focus on her health and not an audience and just have a day job. Like the internet and her day job are two separate things, and I think she needs that. Unfortunately, rather than reinvent herself, she just kind of threw in the towel immediately. I truly don't wish unemployment on people, but it is just so delicious how this lol cow that was able to make so much money so easily at the cost of, granted her mental health and just any chance of her being a normal person, but like money fixes a lot of problems, and she has so many problems that no amount of free time and her endless supply of lol cow cash did her any good. So it's just, she remains a caution. Or maybe she'll do something else. I don't know. I would like to hear what other people think her possible employment is down the road. What trajectory do you think her life is going to go? Hit subscribe to see more of my very silly videos, and I'll see you guys later.
Goodbye.